Gene Galin with the Chatham Journal, Chatham Chatlist. I'm with Josh Harris. He said I could call him anything I want to, but no, he's the Executive Director, CEO of the Siler City Area Chamber of Commerce. And you took on that position last June, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I took that on after finishing up working as the athletic director at Jordan Matthews. So we kind of opened up full time back in the end of May, early June in that time frame.
All right, and how'd you progress to that point where you opted to give up being an athletic director at Jordan Matthews? You were there for 4 years, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And jump on board as CEO of the Siler City Area Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I will say that our athletic directors are very hardworking people, and having 3 little kids, it wasn't very sustainable work-life balance. So that was a big reason why I made the change, was just family time, and then also we live on family farm too, so there's obligations there as well. But for the most part, just want to spend time with the kids and hang out with them and be able to get home before 10 o'clock at night every night. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, athletic directors' jobs at high schools are difficult. Tell us about the Siler City Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so the Siler Area Chamber of Commerce, we're coming up on a year in existence. We're closing in on 80 members now. So we've had a very good response. It's been very exciting, and it's been a lot of fun too. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of folks that I didn't really previously know in the area, even growing up here, because I grew up in Silcote, so with the Siler Area Chamber of Commerce, it's more Western Chatham, so it's not just Siler City. We're located in Siler City, but our focus expands that, because if you know anything about Western Chatham County, all of our communities are pretty integrated within each other. So growing up, we always went to Siler City for everything, even though we lived 15 minutes away. So, it's kind of like you consider yourself a resident, half resident, I guess you could say, of the town, even though you don't live in town.
So did you go to Silcote School?
Yeah, I went to Silcote. And then went Jordan Matthews, graduated in 2009.
What sports you play at Jordan Matthews?
I played basketball and baseball, and I had a brief stint with cross country one fall.
What do you mean a brief stint? It's kind of like you try it out and you say, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, well, if any of my friends from high school, they know, but it wasn't a long-term thing for me, so that's for sure.
Well, it seems like baseball is your passion, but we'll talk about that later. Let's get back to the chamber, because I have a tendency to go all over the place. Chamber started up, it's been about a year. I also looked at your board of directors list. You got a lot of familiar names. Cindy Dameron's on that. You got Tim's, you got Cecil, Corey, Peyton Moody, and Chris on there as the board of directors. And look, folks, we're in Chatham County. If you've lived here long enough, you know that there is a difference between Eastern and Western Chatham County. Who spearheaded this chamber effort? How'd that come about?
So it started more with the board of directors kind of got that idea a year or two ago, and they started putting the wheels in motion and getting it together, and then they wrote me into it back. I agreed to do it back last January, but at that time I was also working at the school, so I knew I couldn't leave the school at that time, because that wouldn't sit right with me. That's not how I function. So I was told them, I really like the mission behind this. I like what it represents, and I was like, let's do it. Let's take it on, and let's see what we can do with it, and let's grow it.
So you waited till the end of the school year. You started June. So once the school year finished up.
So we waited till then to really open things up, and we kind of did some little stuff in the background to get things in place to be prepared for that. But yeah, it was at that time it was, you can't really just jump out on one side and then hop to the other, but that was a big part of it. So.
You mentioned the mission of the Siler City Area Chamber. What is that mission?
So it's really just representing the interests of Western Chatham County, because like you said, the county is very diverse. It's very different. We have a very large county too, so
I think the 10th largest area-wise in the state,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
close to
and,
that.
and there's different needs within the county. So, you know, our formation was really filling a void and just building some connections within the town itself, which has been really awesome to see. You know, those personal connections that folks are making to people that they live near and they work near, but you know, they might not necessarily have run into them or had time to get together with them, and now they're getting to meet face to face with folks, and we're really building a pretty big network there, and it's pretty exciting to see that.
Yeah, I think one of the big things you had, and if I'm not mistaken, this was at the Ag Center, you had the first ever ag, what was it, the Agricultural Impact Summit, because I think there's some folks that, especially folks that are new to this county, don't realize how important agribusiness is in Chatham County. So that seemed to be a big success. How'd that come about, and how'd the event turn out, and what did you learn from that event?
Well, that was, you know, when I discussed the opportunity with our board, that was one thing that they mentioned was, hey, we want agriculture to be involved. And I was like, man, that runs through my blood, like I'm in. So I really enjoy that side of it. Growing up on a farm, we operate our family farm now, so you know, it's very near and dear to me, but it's also a huge piece of Chatham County. I mean, an absolutely huge piece. And you know, you look at how it shaped the history and you know, what the economic driver that agriculture and agribusiness is in Chatham County, and it's not often highlighted. So you know, our purpose was to kind of take what we could hear in the community with the incoming developments and all the growth that's coming. There's you know, there's hesitations with from folks that have been here in generations, and you know, their family roots run real deep. So you know, it's kind of where, hey, there is change coming, and there's good changes coming. There's exciting stuff coming, and at the same time, we have a very agricultural character. So how do we blend them together, and how do we make it work together, and how we provide opportunities for, you know, those local farms that have been here for a long time? How we provide them with information on maybe there's a different route they can go, or maybe they can adapt to what's coming. So that was a big driver, what started that event. And then meeting Ray, he's an incredible speaker, but he had some very good statistical stuff. And then we wanted to kind of get the info out too to our agricultural community on, hey, this is where development's coming. This is kind of what the picture looks like over the next few years. So trying just to bridge that gap a little bit, but next year I think we're going to look more into income sources for farms and revenue and creative ideas there, and talk more on that line for our next year installment of it. But it was very well received, and it went really well. It was an awesome event. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think I remember the Chatham Chamber of Commerce doing anything else. I mean, they have their annual you know, State of Chatham type of presentation, but nothing that really concentrated on agriculture. And it seems that now the farm that you're on, that's a family farm that you're operating?
Yeah, it is, and I'm the sixth generation.
How big of a farm is it?
We manage about 350 acres.
Oh, wow.
We do grass-fed beef, pastured chicken, woodland raised pork. So our farm has changed a lot. So that's a lot of what drives my thought process is, you know, being able to adapt and change to, you know, the environment that we're in. So you know, I think bringing that thought process to the agricultural community can be very helpful, because there's a lot of new people getting into it, and there's folks aging out, and there's a lot of change coming to the agricultural community. So a lot of your newer farms that are coming in, they have some pretty innovative ideas on how to manage things and how to market them and do all that. So you know, it's kind of a mix in there, but yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the agricultural space still, and I think we can really build on that in our county.
Yeah, it was interesting because at the Pittsboro board meeting on Monday, I was listening to that. There was a family farm in there, and I think the UDO for Pittsboro is where it's the farmer had 20 acres, but he had 3 sons that he wanted to divide up those 20 acres between them. And I think the requirement in Pittsboro was that, hey, it has to be 10-acre lots for farm and a house. And they went up in front of there for an exception. So you got the whole 350 acres, it sounds like.
Yeah, that we manage. So some of that we rent, and some of it we own.
All right. Well, I'm familiar with that kind of stuff because my uncle over in Pembroke County does that kind of stuff. He's kind of aged out where he's still interested, but he rents out his place to a younger farmer. You mentioned farming has changed. What are some of the challenges that you have, specific challenges that you have seen, and what are some of the specific ways you think the chamber can help farmers out in Chatham County?
So if you look kind of at the history of agriculture and how it's developed over the last 100 years, you have a lot tied into commodity markets now and that type of stuff. So, I think a big future for our farms is really building a lot of freedom for them, and putting more money in the pocket of the actual farm. So, it takes a lot of, willingness to do something different. But, from a chamber standpoint, I think our biggest area is to help provide them with some knowledge and tools and that type of stuff where, they can make decisions for themselves. Like our farms are very, very smart, intelligent people. And, a lot of times it's just a resource thing. So let's provide them with some educational resources. Let's provide them with just ideas on, hey, maybe consider doing this, or try doing this, or look what, this community over here's done, that type of stuff. And then, trying to build connections for them too. So, I think there's a big market in the future for, providing our local restaurants with food, doing more direct marketing to the consumer directly, and as well as also supporting our larger agribusiness industries like Mount Air and those other ones too, because they provide a huge benefit for like the town of Siler City. I mean, think about all the jobs they bring to it, and the conventional side of things has done a great job of making stuff super efficient. So how do we kind of take those lessons, but also put more money into the farm's pocket at the same time? Because ultimately, if you want to keep farms around, they've got to make money. So, that's it's a challenge, but it's one that I think can be accomplished.
Let me ask you another question. I was on the Chatham County Planning Board a bunch of years ago, and I was on there the same time they did the zoning of the entire county. A lot of farms would have a secondary business on their property. I think you mentioned the fact that farms also, you want to look at other options besides just farming on that farmland. So is that something you're pursuing, and is there anything specific that you're encouraging farmers to do?
Well, agritourism has grown a lot. That's an area for like farms could take advantage of, but it also incorporates a whole nother line of focus and thought and work in that regard too. So, it's kind of up to that farm's capacity on what they can do. But I know there's also some creative options. Like there's a farm that's one of our members, and they converted their garage to a butcher shop in Silk Oak, and it's just like, I'm like, man, we need like that kind of thought process is awesome. So, how do we keep doing creative things like that? So.
Let me ask you this. I've noticed that there seems to be an emphasis going back to non-processed, more whole type of foods. Is that also working well? Because maybe instead of going to the grocery store and picking up some meats, I can go to the Silk Oak farmer who's got it sitting in his garage. Is that a trend you're seeing, or is that just a blip that I kind of observed?
Oh no, it's a large trend, and it continues to grow. And as folks learn about their food and the nutrient density of foods, and what value are you really paying for at that point, I think it's got a larger future, and that market will continue to grow for sure. So, but it's also, there's a challenge with the affordability piece of it too, because raising meats direct or groceries direct from your farm, it usually comes at a higher cost. So, it's the balance of how do we continue to build our nutrient density within our foods, which ultimately will make our community healthier and make us more sustainable as a community in general, but also how do we provide access to it affordability wise? And I don't have a perfect answer for that. I don't know if there is a perfect answer yet, but
you're working on it.
Hopefully, so hopefully.
I ran into you at a Wake Up Wednesday session here in Pittsboro a few months ago, And I think you've taken that idea, you talked to Jeff Phillips about it, and you've transferred that over to the Siler City area. I guess that's part of that communication you're talking about. Tell us about how that's going, and let people know when that's happening and what they need to do if they want to come out to a Wake Up Wednesday in Siler City.
Yeah, so I was told about Wake Up Wednesday in Pittsboro, and I was like, hey, let's go see what it's about. And when I showed up, I was just blown away. I was like, man, this is so cool. And my first thought was, we need something like this on the other side of the county. So we said, well, let's not talk about it, let's do it. And that's what we did. So we approached Sherry at Cowboy Cafe about it, and she was through the roof excited to do it. So we've been meeting at Cowboy Cafe the first Wednesday of each month. And Jeff Phillips that does Wake Up Wednesday, he's been a great mentor in helping us get that set up and talking through it and giving us some really good advice points on it. So we did the first Wednesday since in Pittsburgh, it's the third Wednesday, and talking with Jeff, it was like, okay, well now we can kind of cross communicate with those two, and hopefully we get visitors on both sides, and we've seen that already, so that's very encouraging. But the response for that has been incredible. I mean, the first day we did it, we had 30 people there. I mean, I was blown away. So I think it really helps being a consistent place in time and date, and people know when to plan on it. And you don't have to be a Siler area chamber member to come either. It's part of our, kind of our community engagement piece where we want to meet folks, but also help provide that to the community. It's it's $7 to get in, and you get breakfast, and then much like Wake Up Wednesday, we do 30-second pitch for everybody. And now that we've got a few under our belt, we're going to start having some monthly presenters too. So, but it's got a very bright future.
All right, first Wednesday of every month, but and where's that at again?
At Cowboy Cafe.
Cowboy Cafe, and what time do I need to be there if I want to be at Wake Up Wednesday at the Cowboy Cafe first Wednesday of every month?
Doors open at 8 o'clock.
All right. And you
8
start your introductions 8:25, because that's when Jeff starts his.
We usually start about 8:35 or so. We give it a little more time. It just depends. We kind of fill the room out, see if people are settled yet, or if they got their food, or if they're still staying around talking, we'll give them a few extra.
Now, are you saying people eat slower in Siler City? No, I'm just kidding.
Savor our
food.
time and food and company. So.
What's been the biggest smile that Wake Up Wednesday in Siler City's put on your face?
Just seeing the community connect is really cool, and hearing pretty instantaneously about connections that folks have made, that they had a need for that person's business. We saw that after the first time. I mean, I had people call me, hey, do you have this person's contact? Can I get in, how am I getting in touch with this person? I need to follow up with them. And I've heard that from all across the spectrum of everybody that's been there. So that's really the coolest piece, when you see something small and simple that you can put together that has a big impact on the business community.
And people don't have to sign up, they just need to show up at the Cowboy Cafe.
Yeah, they can just show up, and then we do have an online registration too if they want to pay by card. So and it's $8 online, because they charge processing fees and stuff like that. So you can go on our website, silerareachamber.com, and sign up there if you want to sign up ahead of time. But yeah, you can show up, and we got a QR code if you want to do it on your phone when you get there too.
So if you want to pay good old cash, you can do that, or if you want to pay with a card, you can do that as well.